Hey, second graders, guess what? Today is the last lesson in your math workbook, your Module 7. So we're going to finish this module, and then tomorrow we're going to start Module 8. And I know you don't have that workbook, but I've already got a plan with your parents that either you will print the pages or you'll just get a piece of paper, any old piece of paper, it can be a scrap, and do the problems on just a piece of paper. And you can take a picture of that piece of paper and put it in Google Classroom. Or if you've printed the sheets, you can take a picture of those and put them in Google Classroom. Either one, okay? All right, so for today, I want you to take a look at your lesson 26 in your workbook. And when you turn past, let me see, when you turn past the two problem set pages for lesson 26, you're going to see a template A, template B, and template C. And I want you to tear those pages completely out. And then I want you to take template A, and template A has two tables on it. And I want you to cut out those two tables. So you're going to have template A, the two tables, and then you're going to have template B, and I'm going to show you in just a second what I've done. And then you're going to have template C, which looks like a thermometer. Okay? So get those torn out and ready. Pause me, and then come back, and we'll be ready to start. Okay, so you're back, and today we are going to be drawing line plots. And we're going to use these line plots to answer some questions and to draw conclusions. And when you draw a conclusion, I know kids' brains are automatically go to, okay, what am I going to draw? Let me get my markers. No. When you draw a conclusion, you're actually, it's all up here. You're thinking. You are figuring things out. So you're not actually drawing anything. You're thinking. You're thinking and you're coming to a conclusion. You're figuring out what the data is telling you. So it's kind of a deep thinking kind of strategy. Today, we are going to start with template A. I need you to get the table that says length of items in our pencil boxes. And what I did, you can lay yours next to the paper you're going to be working on. I taped mine to the paper so it won't fall and I can keep looking at it. And I actually am having you use the back of template B to do the work. So on the back of template B and on the back of most every page in our math workbook, we have this grid paper. So use the back of template B. This is where we're going to do the work. And then you need the data table for the length of pencils in our pencil boxes. And I want you to turn the page horizontally. So like that fringy part can be down at the bottom so that you've got your graph and it's longer this way than it is this way. And the reason that I did that is because I am going to put the length of the lengths here horizontally along the bottom. And so I would have more room for those. Because I looked at my data and the largest number on this column here is 6. So it means I would only have to use 6 boxes. So I'm not going to be very tall. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces of data. And actually the range is bigger than that because some of these numbers are skipped. So I'm going to need more space this way. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is put a title on my graph, and I'm going to call it exactly what the data is called, length of items in our pencil boxes. So if you're following along with me, which you should be, get something that you can write with. A pencil might work better for you because you're going to need to be able to make small marks when we get down here. For me, I'm going to use a marker because you'll be able to see me better. So I'm going to write my title, length of items in our pencil boxes. And now it's time for me to go ahead and get my line plot labeled. So I had already decided that the lengths are going to go along the bottom here. And here's typically what people do when they use grid paper. They each place where that vertical line here intersects or crosses over, that's where they're going to put their category. I know you guys are used to making bar graphs where you put it in between in the space, but what we're going to do is we're going to use where the line is, because we're going to be putting X's on points on the line. So I'm going to start with, I notice I've got 6 centimeters is my smallest length of pencils. So I'm going to start here with 0 at this very corner here. But then on the very next place where the lines are, I'm going to put those 2 hash marks to indicate that now we're skipping some numbers, okay? And then the very next line is going to be 6. Do you see how I've put that 6 again, like I'm telling you, just below where the line comes down, because the X will be on the line. Then it goes 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, but then there's 12's not there. 13, oh, skip 14, 15, 16, 17. I wonder why they skipped some numbers. I will bet it's because there was no information, there was no data. There were no pencils of that length. But just to keep our graph drawn to scale, we're not going to skip any numbers. So we're going to go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Pause me if you need to. Notice my numbers are below the lines, not the spaces. Okay, now it's time to put our data on this graph. So for 6 centimeters, how many pencils in our classroom did we have that were 6 centimeters long? Well, just 1. So see, here's the 6. We're going to put an X right there because that first line up would be where the first X would go. So when we have pencils that are 7 centimeters long, how many of those did we have? Look at your table. We had 2. So we're going to come over here to 7, and we're going to go 1, 2. Do you notice how my X's are right there where the 2 lines cross over each other or intersect? Now, let's get the rest of this information on our table. I'm going to go pretty quickly. Why don't you pause me, see if you can do it without watching me, and then hit play and see if you put your X's where I'm putting mine. So go ahead and pause. All right, guys, and now you're watching me to see where I put my X's, to see if you put yours in the same spot. So for 8, I had 4 X's. 1, 2, 3, 4. For 9, I had 3 X's. 1, 2, 3. For 10, I had 6. Wow, that's the biggest one so far. So my 10 looks like this. For 11, I had 4. For 13, I had 1. Oh, look, I skipped 12 because there was no information. It means that we didn't have any pencils in the classroom that were that long. 1 for 13, 3 for 16. So look, I skipped some more again. I hope you skipped them on your graph because we didn't have any pencils that long. And then 17, we had 2. 1, 2. Now what we can do is we can use our graph now to answer a couple of questions. So let me see what my book has as the questions that we're supposed to answer for this. Okay, what is the greatest length of pencils in the classroom? Can you answer that one? What length or what measurement occurred most often? Can you use the graph to answer that one? What is the difference between the smallest measurement and the greatest measurement? Now we're going to do this one together because I noticed last week we were having a little bit of trouble with that. The difference between the smallest measurement and the greatest measurement. Well, The smallest measurement was 6. The greatest measurement was 17. So we need to figure out how many numbers are in between 6 and 17. We can count up. 6 plus what equals 17? We can count back. We can say 17 minus 6 equals. So the range of data is 11. There are 11 numbers in between 6 and 17. Okay, now let's work on the other graph, okay? So what I want to do is let's take this one out and let's flip over to this one here. And this one we're going to actually do vertically. This one has to do with the temperatures that they recorded in May. So it's May now. So interestingly enough, we'll see if these temperatures are similar to where we live. So we're going to title our graph Temperatures in May. And the reason I thought we should make our graph vertically is I looked at this template C here. Now I've already labeled mine, and I noticed that this should be 0 if we were talking Fahrenheit. And then it looks like the longer tick marks go by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 on up. And then that way we could actually go 1, 2, 3, 4 degrees. You can actually see every single degree in between. And because the thermometer's temperatures go vertically, we're going to do it that way on our graph. This graph, if it was in color, would be easier to see, but it's trying to get you to see that the data stops right there, that the thermometer is saying that it is, I think it's trying to tell you that it's 30 degrees. Gosh, that's cold for May. Maybe at night or something, but even then it would be below freezing. Okay, so this is, that was just an example of what a thermometer looks like. We're going to do our temperatures in May. Now, what is the coldest temperature on this chart? It's 59 degrees. So we really need for our data to start, we really don't have room to start with 0 and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to run out of room by the time we get to 20. So we're not going to be able to do it that way. I think what we're going to need to do here, guys, is do our 0. And watch how I do 0. I make the 0 be, I extend that line out a little bit, and that's going to be 0. And then I'm going to do those 2 hash marks because we're going to skip a bunch of numbers here. And we're going to start at 59. Now, if we start at 59, are we going to have enough to get to 72? 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. Shoo, guess we have just enough. All right, so here's what I want you to do. Starting with 59, this will be 60. Pause me, get yours numbered. I'm going to number mine, okay? So pause. All right, guys, I'm going to number mine in real time, really fast. You check yours, make sure you got it correct. So 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. And remember, number those lines, okay, not the spaces. Let's get this data on here. How many days in May were 59 degrees? Just one. So what we're going to do, make sure I've got mine up here. We're going to put an X right here. Okay, and I'm going to put a dot next to it because I've already put it on my graph. That'll help me remember. How many days had 60-degree temperatures? 3. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3. Pause me, see if you can't fill in your graph, and then when you unpause, come back and see if you've got it filled in correctly. Okay. All right, guys, so I'm going to fill mine in really quickly. 61 degrees, there weren't any days. 62, there weren't any. 63, there were 3 days. 64, there were 4 days. 65, there were 7 days. 67, there were 5 days. Guess we skipped 66. There were no 66-degree days. 68 had 4. 69 had 3. And 72 had 1. So 70, there were no 70 and 71-degree days. Look how this data is. There's like some data together, none, some more together. There's skip this one, some more together, none. We can use this graph now to answer some questions. Let's see. What temperatures occurred the most often? Did you say 65 degrees was the most common? Which temperatures occurred the least often? Well, I mean, there's a couple that didn't happen at all. But I guess if you were only including the temperatures that happened at least once, then 59 degrees and 72 degrees. The difference between the highest and lowest temperature. Remember, boys and girls, that's a problem you got to think about. You got to figure out the space in between 59 and 72. You can count up, you can subtract back. Now, how would a line plot, this is the deep thinking question, how would a line plot look different? Let's say we did January. How would it look different? Do you think that these would be the temperatures in January? Probably not. Don't you think that if we did the line plot for January, the actual temperatures would be more like in the 30-degree range, more like what we saw on our thermometer? So actually, all this space here that we skipped would actually have to be where our data is. All right, guys, so today you are going to be completing 2 problem set pages to finish out this workbook. It's going to ask you, the first page is going to ask you just to answer some questions. There's no graph to make. The second page is going to have you make the line plot right there on the page, and they didn't give you the grid paper. You're just going to do it without the grid, and you're going to answer a few more questions, okay? All right, happy math today.